But do you think it's not just at that specific moment, that 72 hours, 24, 72 hours? Do you think there's an emotional difference between the man and the woman anyway, that this some inside information that the guy would appreciate knowing? What's the, it's like how can you describe what is it like to be a woman comparative to a man, because you've never been a man, but you have spoken to a lot of men, and yet you have understood them in a way maybe that most women haven't had the opportunity or the desire to do so.
Men have more insecurity than most women will accept.
Very interesting.
You know this.
I know it,
You're,
yeah, but the
an
fact that there's a
insecurity
woman
that
saying,
normally that woman won't know about,
hmm,
whether it's his age, his ability to perform
hmm,
uh, in the bedroom or in society.
hmm, very interesting.
You tell us, what is it about men emotionally that women don't understand? What are the three things about men that women do not understand emotionally?
Um, I think it's the desire to be logical, we've just lost Leonard Nimoy, haven't we? But the man wants the I's dotting, the T's crossing. The man wants to understand how it works, pull it from together from an engineering point of view. That the man wants to be in full control of all that he's got to do with. If he isn't in control, then he feels, as you say, he feels less of a man. He feels like I'm not actually performing my role in society, let alone in the house, in the family. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm less of a person than the other guys around. And I suppose in the same way that you describe in your book, the older you've got, and you've said so in our conversation here, that in the passing of time, you realise that these things don't matter as much as you thought that they did. But in the early years of your, your late teens, your early 20s, maybe even into your 30s these days, because people tend to stay home with the parents a lot longer than was traditional when I grew up. But they have this insecurity, and it really weighs on the guys a lot, and that's why there's a thirst for knowledge, a thirst for understanding, certainly of the area of expertise that they've decided to make a career path in. They've got to be able to understand that or if they go like that, oh, I don't care, what they're saying is, I'm abdicating, I'm really not interested even interacting as a member of society anymore. I'm just going to go and sit in my cave for the rest of my life.
Do you think that's what has happened to a lot of our young men?
I do, yeah. I think it's very sad that there's so much expected of you by society.
As a
What
man,
as a man, yeah, they expect you to be the breadwinner. You're expected to do well in your career. That, any failure that you have, it's a reflection on how poor a character that you are. Maybe I'm over. Yeah, I'm like making a caricature of it. Maybe I'm
no,
making
you're not. I've had a lot of men say this.
yeah, much larger than it is. But when you find that place of peace inside, where I don't care what anybody else says, I don't care what anybody else thinks. You were writing about it. I read it today in your book, that there's all these people that oh, we can't say how well you're doing, Ray, because it might upset somebody, and you can't live your life worried about what other people are going to say. You've got your own path, and it's completely independent, and it's individual to you. No one else has ever walked the path that you walk right now, or else what is the point of you being here? If you are somebody who is just like everybody else, or just like a number of other people who've already lived, then what is your point of existence? Why are you here? You haven't got a point. But if you're an individual and you have your own path to walk, then what anybody else has to say about you, it's got nothing to do with them. They may want to pass comment, and as you say in your book, probably they're not even interested. They're more interested in themselves than they are in what's happening with you. So
they're more worried about themselves. They're more worried about what people think of them.
But it's like, you've got to get a job. I think that's the worst thing that you could ever tell a young person, that you need to get a job. Because for me, having a job, it's like demeaning. It's slavery in another expression. You're exchanging your hours for money. And in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in America, but in the UK we have something called minimum wage, and we've got something called a living wage. And living wage is probably 20-25% higher than minimum wage. So what we're saying is the government approves employers paying employees money which doesn't allow them to feed, clothe and keep a roof over their head. That's okay by law. You don't have to pay them a living wage. And then what happens in the UK is we have tax credits. So it's like food stamps, I guess, in America, and they make up the difference. The government make up the difference. And for me, it's demeaning for the individual to have to go cap in hand to the state and say, please help me. I'm working 40 hours a week, but it's not enough to pay for the roof over my head, the clothes on my back and the food in my belly. That is demeaning. That anybody who says you need to get a job when you leave school, no, you need to become financially independent. You need to find a way that is going to create the wealth that you need in your life. And we don't want cannon fodder. We want people who can appreciate themselves as being unique individuals. We need people who realise their own worth. There's never ever been anyone just like you before, and you're just amazing. You're fantastic. Nobody says that. No, you need to go and get a job. That really upsets me. So what I'm saying about the pressures that are put on men, they're supposed to be the provider, and very, very often they make a mistake. I don't know, the stuff that's going on between us. There's a lot of this man-woman thing. That's what we so they make a mistake. They sleep with a woman, and she, it meant nothing to me. And the girl's heartbroken. She stayed at home with the two kids. She's expecting a third baby, and he's gone and done that. What kind of a person am I with? I don't want to be with him anymore. And then you have Jerry sorting it out. It's just so sad. We do not teach our young people life skills. We teach them a load of information, which the majority of it in school is never going to be used again.
Right.
It's just so sad. It really is so sad that this is the situation that we're in. So I think that me and you and many other people like us are trying to create a new dynamic within society where people will start to think things through for themselves. This is not the way I want it to be for my children or my grandchildren. I want life to change. I want human society to change to reflect the seriousness of the ridiculous nature in which society has been evolved over the last 200-300 years.